Hi everyone, I want to show you a pretty funny build that I made on the PTR using the reworked Firebird set. So you might have seen those crazy clears where you combine Tarashas with Firebird's 4-piece, which has a 4000% damage multiplier and the wizard just scales to infinity. This is not like this. Here I actually just had 4 pieces of Firebirds equipped and no other 6-piece bonus. And essentially I replaced any kind of like 6-piece bonus or LOD with the 4-piece Firebirds. So I thought that was quite hilarious, and to top it off I actually played Frozen Orb with the Firebird set, and I thought it was a pretty cool meme. Essentially the build is very similar to a regular LOD Frozen Orb wizard, just with the difference that I have Disintegrate, which you need to apply the Ignite for Firebirds, and I don't have a Halo of Carini. There's a few other small details like no Mantle of Channeling and these kind of things, because you can't fit them in. I actually had Orgult set and I had Crimson set, and well, it was pretty cool to just like teleport around a lot because of all the cooldown, and I had pretty decent damage reduction, and the damage overall is very similar as well, so this compares very well to an LOD version. So while this is nothing really revolutionary, I just really enjoyed this setup because of how unique it felt making this and then playing it as well, and also utilizing this generic multiplier that the Firebirds gives you for another purpose that is not really part of the build. So I was able to clear through 120 here rather easily with Paragon 1500 and no augments, and later on I threw in all my Paragons and put on some augments. I had like 30,000 main stat or so, and went for a bit more offensive setup, and I breezed through a 130 within 10 minutes or something. So while this doesn't really tell us too much about the power level of Firebirds, because, well, I completely butchered the whole setup and essentially didn't play Firebirds in the way that it's supposed to, I thought this was pretty cool, and also kind of shows what Frozen Orb can do in the next patch, because this setup actually compares very well also in damage numbers. However, what I really liked about this setup is the degree of freedom that I had. So there were a lot of choices that you can make or could make when you're not forced into a 6-piece bonus. And while we're supposed to have LOD for that, it was pretty cool to combine this with other sets as well. So for example, the Orgulls and the Captain Crimson. And there's a few more crafted sets. There's something like Blackthorns and these kind of things. And this got me thinking that this could be really amazing if, you know, there were more options for these kind of like supplementary sets to fill in the gaps in certain builds. Imagine if the Demon set and the Guardian set and the Blackthorns and maybe even Ashiras would be reworked in some way that you can incorporate them in more builds, and they give like some cool effects similar to what they did with Captain Crimson and Orgulls back when those were reworked. I believe these are really the core pieces that can distinguish builds from one another more than with just stats. So Blackthorns has this kind of like unique elite damage and elite damage reduction focus on top of this immunity to ground effects. So I think it would be amazing to have more of those effects combined in a Blackthorn set, and so you can kind of decide, do you go 3 pieces in Blackthorn and then have a Ring of Heroic Grandeur there, or do you go 2 pieces Crimson? They kind of share the same pieces, you know, plus the Amulet, for example, in Blackthorn's case. Or you have the Guardian set that gives you a Bracer and a Bell, for example. So there are, you know, these options where, you know, your build doesn't really have any good stuff there, so you can maybe, you know, throw something on that gives you extra stats, or you can actually choose between, you know, something like Ashnagar Bracer and Orgull's Bracer and his shoulders, for example. Just imagine if Blackthorns had an effect that steals elite affixes from the enemies and gives them to you, so you start spawning thunderstorms and arcane beams and stuff. Or if the Guardian set had something like maybe a shielding effect that is different from Molten Wildebeest and the Wizard Shields, so that will make shielding accessible to more classes in pushing scenarios. And maybe the Demon set has an effect that transforms you into a massive demon, so you become crowd control immune and deal massive damage and you burn with fire everywhere. I don't know, I'm just throwing around some ideas here, but this is definitely a topic for another video at some point. In any case, even though I didn't play the real Firebirds build here, I really enjoyed the setup, and I also enjoyed the real Firebird. So the big issue I have with the Firebird set myself is that the combustion from the 4-piece bonus drops way too fast, and I believe that could be changed to have kind of like lingering effect. So right now, when you channel, you get combustion at a rate of 10 per second up to 50. So it takes 5 seconds to stack it up to maximum, and then it drops at a rate of 4 per second. So it takes 12.5 seconds to go to 0. And while in this setup I was playing, I wasn't really channeling very much. So I wasn't actually stacking up this combustion, but in a real Firebird's build you would do that. But with the way it works right now, it doesn't really feel very great, and I think that could be definitely improved. So it would be great to have kind of like a 1 second grace period before combustion starts dropping. This would make Firebirds so much cooler to play, so much more mobile, and you could just essentially teleport around like 4, 5, 6 times or something. Imagine like a teleport wormhole effect that lasts for 5 teleports until you have to start channeling again. Right now in T16 especially, Firebirds feels extremely clunky, and in speed farming as well, it can't really keep up in groups. It's essentially like a bad Adder Walker where you have to channel in between all the time. And while it's great to have a wizard build that actually has a bit of like extra mobility through the teleport cooldown, this is not really enough. I think for the future, wizard mobility has to be addressed in general, not just for one build, and we can't rely on Adder Walker. So the base cooldown of teleport could be reduced. For example, 11 seconds is an extremely long time for any kind of mobility skill, and most wizard builds don't really stack too much cooldown to begin with. On top of that, the teleport is also rather slow. It has like this little delay and then it moves you over there. So yeah, it can go through walls and over obstacles and stuff like this, but it doesn't really hold up to something like a Demon Hunter that can like permanently vault, or it goes with plus 100% move speed, smoke screen that also gives you a tactical advantage for another 60%. And then there's Blood Rush that has like a 5-second base cooldown, which is essentially like teleport. So in general, I think reducing teleport base cooldown would be a great idea, and or also making another item that is not like the Adder Walker, but basically allows you to use teleport in more builds that otherwise wouldn't have it. For example, by replacing your armor skill, so like Storm Armor or Force Armor, where previously you would have the Halo of Carini, for example, you could put another ring, and this one, for example, would only apply when you don't have any armor active and give you a similar amount of damage reduction. Just another of those ideas, but in general I gotta say that the new Firebirds is overall a pretty well designed build, but it just needs like a little bit extra to feel really great. So the solo pushing potential is great, so it competes with other wizard builds. It might not hold up exactly as like the top wizard build because Twister is really good, but it's quite close, so within 2-3 tiers I imagine, and maybe you figure out some better ways of playing Firebirds. Also what Firebirds might need is some kind of T16 ability, I'd say, because actually farming super low-end content is horrible with this. So you need to disintegrate to apply the ignite first, and then you need to hit a target with another skill. Typically this is Arcane Torrent or Explosive Blast. So in a speed farming scenario, you don't really want to swap to another channeling skill and then start channeling with a very tiny AoE on every single monster on the screen. So we need something that has like a screen clearing potential. I believe that Blizzard could be a really nice fit for this. Right now Blizzard doesn't work with this, unfortunately, but it would be pretty awesome to have a Blizzard actually apply this combustion effect and the 6-piece bonus that the Firebirds gives you. Like this, you could teleport into a room, just swoop around in one circle with the disintegrate, and then throw a blizzard and everything would die around you, maybe because it would like tick continuously or something, and it would be just much cooler. Or maybe even have the blizzard travel with you, so that could be another bonus of the set. For example, you cast a blizzard, and if it's a fire blizzard, it will kind of like go with you and just kind of like burn everything to death when you ignited it. And this, combined with the combustion change that I suggested, could be pretty awesome as kind of like a speed farming build. Either way, I hope you liked this little video here and the setup and the run that I've shown. So I just hijacked this video to talk about Firebirds a bit in general. I hope you don't mind. And let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about the Firebird changes. Overall, I think it's pretty cool, but it definitely needs a little bit more work to feel really awesome. So that's about it. Hope you liked this video. I'll see you guys next time.